So, hey, Kevin Kijewski, running for Attorney General. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you filling out the Attorney General questionnaire that we sent out. We're excited to publish that across the state to all the delegates. Our goal is to get that questionnaire and these video interviews out to everybody, all across the state, county parties, district parties, state party, delegates. Trying to inform people and kind of do it from the viewpoint here of a few different counties. So Jason Rogers is joining here from Washtenaw, and we got some Darien folks helping us behind the scenes with the text. So with that being said, can you just introduce yourself to us and tell us how the Attorney General race is going so far?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me here with both of you gentlemen tonight. And I am Kevin Kijewski. If you want to say it the Polish way, you can say Kevin Kijewski the English way. It doesn't matter to me. I'm running for Attorney General, as you have said. Why? Because Michigan right now is not safe. Michigan is not normal. And frankly, Michigan hasn't been red for a long time. I don't know if your folks really know this, but of course, they remember the two Republican attorney generals. But really, if I actually get the nomination and elected in the general, I'm going to be the only third Republican attorney general since when? The 1950s. So this is a tremendous opportunity to take Michigan in the right direction, to bring back the rule of law, to end lawfare, to make sure that we have election integrity. As well, when we take a look at parental and student rights, that those are going to be vigorously defended and enforced, and just frankly make Michigan a better place, because it can't get any worse unless we elect Democrats than it has been over the past soon to be 8 years. I think the race is going well. I've connected with delegates all around the state, going all the way up to Menominee. That's the first time ever I had to fly into Wisconsin in order to actually get to Michigan. Going to all four corners of Michigan, resounding success in the Mackinac straw poll, beating my competitor by over a margin of 20 points. Same thing in other straw polls, haven't lost one, don't plan to lose any. And we're going to get this nomination, and we're going to make Michigan the best place in terms of our courts and our legal system.
Thanks, Kevin. So if you do get the nomination by the delegates on March 28th, what will the AG race look like against your Democrat challenger between then and the election in November?
Yeah, so it's important for everyone to know that, of course, our nominating convention is going to be on March 28th, but the Democrats will have theirs a few weeks later on in early April. When it comes to all three different nominees, they're going to be vying for that, and I don't really care who gets it. But it's going to be a fist fight, and you need to have a fighter in there. The reason being because this is a seat that they do not want to lose. And that's not going to be something that they take lightly, and neither will I. So how is it going to look like? It's going to be talking about what someone's going to be doing as Attorney General. For example, what type of Attorney General opinions would you write in order to maintain law and order and to make sure that the Constitution and statutes are crystal clear? We're going to be talking about our plans to make sure to bring back election integrity to Michigan, because it's absolutely inexcusable that Jocelyn Benson thought it was okay to get away with, number one, just sending out a whole bunch of absentee ballots to people that never requested them, and then second, never doing signature verification. We're also going to be talking about, again, parental and student rights, because right now those are under assault. I'm the only AG candidate on either side of the aisle that actually wrote a letter and actually testified in front of the Michigan State Board of Education against those radical health mandates, where they wanted to actually, and that just passed, unfortunately, they want to make sure that kids in our public elementary schools think that when it comes to LGBTQ stuff, well, gender is just a social construct. It's not, and we all know that. Boys are boys, girls are girls. So we're going to be talking about a lot of those bread and butter issues, for the most part, that are not just important to conservatives and Republicans, but you know who they're important to? Parents, and frankly, a whole bunch of people that are normal, because we haven't been normal for quite some time. And that's going to be a big component of the campaign. The other component as well is going to be fundraising. But luckily, in terms of the Attorney General race, at least on the Republican side, this is the only candidate that has been to Washington to meet with the White House, to meet with over 20 Republican attorneys general, to meet with donors as well, because they see this as a tremendous opportunity to bring back Michigan to get that seat. And then ultimately, going all the way up till November, we're going to be able to make, again, Michigan absolutely ruby red again.
Thanks. So on the flip side, if Doug gets the nomination, Mr. Lloyd gets the nomination, what are your next steps politically or privately? What do you plan to do after that?
That's a great question. I'm just going to say two things, actually three things. Number one, I don't plan to lose. But again, I know this is a hypothetical. So in this hypothetical world, I don't care who the individual that got the nomination. I'm a good Republican, and I would expect my competitors to do the same thing. Go ahead and support and get behind the individual that gets the nomination, right? Don't pout, don't fight. But I guess if I would lose in some hypothetical universe, then I would probably go back to what I am doing right now, and that is practicing law, loving my family, making sure that I try to be the best father that I can be. I have a lovely 2.5-year-old at home right now that I'm going to go see after I'm done with this wonderful interview. But again, it's a sacrifice to become Attorney General because you take a pay cut and then all the other different things. But I'm not doing it for the job. I'm doing it for the work. And I would fully expect that anyone that got the nomination would be doing it for the same reason.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. So getting into the Second Amendment, considering some cases where Michigan law or even the Michigan Constitution might contradict the U.S. Constitution, specifically red flag laws in Michigan. And in the questionnaire, we talked about MCL 691.1815. In contrast with the U.S. Constitution's Second Amendment, how would you respond when violations of Michigan law are referred to you, but the referenced Michigan law contradicts the U.S. Constitution?
That's a great question, and I think I was able to write it rather comprehensively in the questionnaire answers or responses I provided. But to give you sort of the Cliff Notes version, I believe that when it comes to the Second Amendment, and also when it comes to Article 1, Section 6 here in the Michigan Constitution, which is even more robust, believe it or not, than the Second Amendment, those need to be protected. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do right away. And I already spoke with folks about this, legislators, in addition to other attorneys. I'm planning on doing an Attorney General opinion that is going to bring about constitutional carry. And the only reason we have open carry right now is because of actually prior AG opinion. So the Second Amendment and your right to defend your family, your friends, your community, that's important. And I'm not going to take that lightly if we have the legislature or anyone else attempting to usurp the rights of the people. And that means taking action, whether that be Attorney General opinions like I referenced, or challenging various practices or statutes. At least in the short term, if we're looking at specifically red flag laws, and everyone can take a look at the case citations and everything else I put in the response. But I think that the actual law itself is unconstitutional because these are ex parte orders. And ex parte orders, they cannot be granted unless there is an extraordinary reason. And frankly, right now, if you take a look at red flag laws, 89% of the time, according to the Supreme Court Administrator's Office, they collect all these stats and facts. 89% of the time, they never result in criminal charges. Only 11% do. You know what that tells me? That tells me that red flag laws get it wrong 89% of the time, and there is a better way to take care of it. So I don't like red flag laws, at least in the interim, while challenging them and working to get them changed. I would actually do an AG opinion to instruct all of our sheriffs, all of our law enforcement, the Michigan State Police, that this is unconstitutional, and not just leave it there, but talk about the other legal mechanisms that are at play that people can employ, such as, for example, the mental health code. There are ways to actually go ahead after these folks with mental illnesses to cure essentially this kind of problem where we're worried about crazy people with guns. Well, we have laws on the books for that. Let's enforce those laws. And I, as Attorney General, will protect your Second Amendment rights so you can protect yourself and your family.
Thanks.
Thank you. You also spoke a lot about, and I've heard you on the road speaking about election integrity and investigating those issues. Can you expand on how the AG's office is going to do that and what concrete policies you might want to pursue?
Sure. So, one thing in particular I think we need to take a look at is how our actual election laws that we have are being enforced. I made reference to it before, but for example, the no excuse absentee voting, which was added to the Constitution, how is that actually occurring? How are these ballots being sent out? How are people electing to be part of that? Because I said before that the Secretary of State's absolutely true, just sent them out to everyone. And then as well, did not verify any type of signature. So I don't want to call it an audit because that word gets used all the time, but I want to make sure that we understand exactly how that particular process flow is going. Second, what I want to do is to take a look at what has happened over the past several elections, including 2024. And yes, Donald Trump won. I get that. We all know that. But really, the issue is not about who won the presidential election. It's about the 15 or 16 non-US citizens that voted in that election. And the only reason we know that they voted is because the Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, leaked that out to a reporter, and that reporter put it out there without any context. But we don't know who they are, if they were ever criminally prosecuted. We don't know exactly their disposition today. And, frankly, I don't know how they actually employed a methodology to find out who these people were. So you just throw out a number. Remember, it was 0, then it became 1, then it became 15 or 16. And I'm hearing through various folks I talk to, it continues to grow. So we have to look into that. The bottom line is U.S. citizens are the only people that get to vote through legal means. That means when I take a look at the AG's office, we're going to be having, even though there is a Bureau of Elections and the Secretary of State and they have their own attorneys, we're going to have our own attorneys as well to make sure that everything is going well. And if I find fraud, if I find abuse, if I find anything, frankly, criminal, we're going to make sure that we correct it because we cannot have the integrity of our elections at doubt. Last thing I'll say about that is if you look at Kevin Dietz, I was on WJR quite a few months ago, he said something very telling, and I think Kevin is a rather fair guy, also a good name, but he comes out and he says one big thing. He says, half of the people in this state don't believe that our elections are secure. The other half do. And he's like, I even have questions. So what are you going to do to fix all this? As AG, and everything I basically told him is what I shared with you, because our constitutional republic, we can't gamble with the democratic process by, hopes and prayers regarding, we're just going to send ballots out and we're going to trust people. It doesn't work that way, and it will not work that way with me as your next Attorney General.
Thanks, Kevin. We got a couple minutes left, so maybe we can do a couple quick rapid fire.
Sure.
One more on election integrity. So the U.S. Constitution in Article 1, Section 4 actually states, and you've referenced this a few times in terms of sending all the mail-ins out, the times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof, but the Congress may at any time, by law, make or alter such regulations except as to the places of choosing senators. So using the example that you've spoken of already with the mail-in ballots, what can be done from your office, Attorney General's office, not only proactively, but even maybe looking backward to correct procedures that were enacted by the executive branch when this clearly states that the legislative branch needs to make those decisions?
That's a great question, because that is something that the federal government right now is trying to ascertain or figure out. You have Hamid Dillon, the Assistant Attorney General in the Department of Justice, trying to get all the voter records and rolls through a federal statute that permits them to get it for any reason if it involves a federal election. She's trying to get it for 2024. Jocelyn Benson and a whole bunch of other Democrat secretaries of state, they are just, sort of stonewalling them right now. So hopefully they could get this resolved soon, but as AG, I'll make sure that they get those records. But we're going to be taking a look at the same records as well, because ultimately at the end of the day, the integrity of our vote matters. And that means if I'm taking a look at absentee voting or mail-in voting or any of this other stuff, we have to do what our founding fathers have said. You have to make sure that if you look at our elections, that it comports with the U.S. Constitution and the Michigan State Constitution. And unfortunately, if there are two things that are sort of at odds between the federal and state Constitution, I'm a Federalist. I believe in the Supremacy Clause. So again, I hope that when it comes to President Trump, in addition to the U.S. Congress, they will actually prescribe some rules and regulations relates to federal elections, which would then trickle down through the states as it relates to, frankly, the vast majority of elections that occur that people participate in. But it's an issue that's really important to me. And I even spoke about this with several Republican attorneys general when I was in DC, in addition to the White House. Election integrity, I'm not going to say it's like the number one issue, but it's like one of like the top 3 issues that all of these ladies and gentlemen are considering. And you could count me in that group.
Thank you.
Pivoting just a little bit, do we have time for one more, Joel?
Yeah.
So pivoting just a little bit, we all know that Michigan is one of the worst states in the union for human trafficking. So what is your plan of attack, or what opportunities do you see as AG and to work in conjunction with law enforcement to curb that and to finally fix the issue here in Michigan?
Yeah, so the AG has a very unique role when it comes to criminal prosecutions. And just so that everyone knows, the vast majority of what the AG does, it's not criminal, it's actually civil. But what has happened under Dana Nessel, she actually has stepped away from actually that law enforcement role, and she has really made that more into a politicized thing, going after, for example, the Trump alternate electors that I represented, or going after other people for political pursuits, or suing Donald Trump 40 times. When she took office, Dana Nessel, the actual budget for the AG's office was like around 104, 105 million. Until recently, it was almost 130. You would think that we would be safer, but we're not. She's spending the money, the resources, and the FTEs, or full-time employees. She actually increased that by almost 50%, believe it or not. The numbers are there. And she's not going after things like human trafficking. She's not going after things such as multi-county conspiracies for anything, including human trafficking. She's going after a politicized agenda. So what am I going to do about that? Well, I'm going to do a few different things. Number one, I already told Speaker Hall, I'm going to cut the budget. I'm going to be probably the first Attorney General in a long time to say, hey, Mr. Speaker, I'm here to request fewer dollars for the next year, but we're going to better use the dollars that we have. We're going to take a lot of those resources and personnel and put them toward human trafficking, put them toward training, put them toward collaboration with local law enforcement, sheriffs, and police departments. So we put this to an end, because right now people are getting away with bloody murder. And who is being hurt? Young women, for the most part, who are being trafficked for various drug organizations and criminal enterprises, and their innocence is being taken away day after day, and that's not going to happen with me.
Well, thanks, Kevin. In our final minute, if you could just take the opportunity to tell the delegates what, and anything you maybe haven't shared already, what makes you the best Republican candidate for Attorney General for the delegates to vote on in March?
So I'm the only Attorney General candidate in this particular race that actually has both criminal law experience, such as defending the Trump alternate electors, in addition to substantial civil litigation and constitutional litigation experience. I actually even sued Dana Nessel when the Trump electors were being criminally prosecuted. I sued her in federal court and went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. And the only reason they didn't end up taking the case at the end of the day is because I actually won the dismissal for the electors. So it got mooted out. So I have the broad base of experience that, frankly, a career prosecutor does not have. And the last thing I'll say is, if you look at a career prosecutor, the Republican attorney generals I went to see, only maybe 20% of them were elected prosecutors. Vast majority, they never did that because that's not what the job is. I'm going to keep Michigan safe. I'm going to keep Michigan, frankly, affordable. We're going to make sure that no one's taken advantage of. And we're going to defend your rights, as I outlined, regarding constitutional rights, gun rights, parental rights, and frankly, all of your fundamental freedoms. So vote for me at the endorsement convention, March 28th, and we're going to make this place ruby red again. And thanks so much for your support. It's been great, and we're going to continue the momentum going and growing.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.